Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And through you, Mr. Speaker, I could ask a question of my NDP colleague and the former NDP colleague that spoke also on concerns that I have, and they're talking about getting rid possibly of our airports in Canada, selling them off to private sectors. Now, one only has to look back, as the honourable member mentioned a few minutes ago, 10 or 12 years ago when the Liberals were in government, they got rid of some 26 airports across Canada. They sweet-talked, as they usually do, they sweet-talked a lot of municipalities into taking over these airports and saying, oh, it's going to be great for you. It's going to be the best thing that you can have. We're going to give them to you. Give us $1. I happen to be a mayor of a community that took one of these airports. And I sat on that committee for a lot of years. I think I know a thing or two about these airports and the airports that you privatize. I'm also a commercial pilot, and I put my wheels down on many airports across Canada. Of those 26, a number of them closed. Many of them run in the red, year after year after year, and as we called in municipal government, they became white elephants. So through you, Mr. Mayor, I was Mr. Speaker, ours was in the black. And I'll tell you why it was in the black, because of the Conservative government. The Conservative government tax cuts allowed businesses to grow in my area of North Peace in British Columbia. Businesses grew, they supported the airport, and we could operate that airport in the black. We operated with 4 other municipalities, not one, but 4 municipalities working together. But through you, Mr. Speaker, to the honourable member, does she see a reputation of possibly happening to what we saw in early 2000s with the 26 airports that the Liberals gave away then to what we may happen here in the next immediate future?
For Windsor-Tecumseh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my honourable colleague for the question. And I too have experience and insight into how privatization has impacted airports, particularly in my area as well. My caucus has been sounding the alarm about privatization now since we learned of the very cryptic wording of flywheel investments and asset recycling. And I can tell you, in Ontario right now, and in my community, as a matter of fact, a town hall is planned on March 30th about that very issue, about what happens when you privatize and look further down the road. And obviously I'm talking about, because I'm in Ontario, this is about hydro. And though that is a provincial jurisdiction right now, why are we not learning lessons? Why are we not looking at this? As politicians, that is part of our job, is it not? To look, to learn, and to not operate in these silos. And it's really frustrating to see that we're going to follow this same pattern, and we know what will happen, exactly what is happening right now in Ontario. Now we're expecting that this will happen with not just airports, but other assets. And what exactly is the government role to intervene? It's not to facilitate corporate profit, and that's exactly what privatization does. And the Canadian Infrastructure Bank, the way that that's being proposed is sounding even more alarm, so that issues like my honourable colleague mentioned are just going to be more heightened. And it's very unfortunate that we're looking at this with a very narrow view for some kind of short-term gain that somebody can look at on a piece of paper and say it was a good idea within a span of a 6-month period. How unfortunate for us, and what a disservice to Canadians.